morning, everyone. I think it's quite obvious why we're meeting here today. I think I'll say a few words and then I'll open it up for general questions. Does that work for everyone? Mike Bush is my name, Chief Commissioner of Victoria Police. Again, thank you for being here today. I would like to acknowledge Victoria police officers for their vigilance and the interventions that they do to address the increase in violent crime, including knife crime, across the state of Victoria. Our officers in the last year, up until today, have seized in excess of 15,000 bladed weapons. That's 47 weapons per day. And as you can see to my right, that's 47. That's what gets seized on a daily basis across the state of Victoria. Those seizures come from search warrants, they come from public searches, and they come from our response to family violence incidents. These seizures are on the back of an increase in violent crime. We've had a 15% increase in the last year in the number of stabbings. Now, our people are very good at arresting the people responsible for those violent offences. And it's interesting to note that 50% of the people arrested for those offences are under the age of 25. These seizures are very much part of our approach to reduce violence in our communities. And this highlights the extent of that problem. No one should bear the consequence or be a victim of crime, and especially the victim of knife crime. The physical and psychological impacts of these crimes is horrendous. And Victoria Police will continue that focus to prevent this kind of crime, and we will do that by targeting locations and by targeting the suspects that we believe are involved in these crimes. My message to offenders who want to carry weapons with the intent of harming others is that our people, our officers, will relentlessly pursue them. Thank you. I'm open for any questions you might have for us.
Were these weapons, or the 15,000, how many were seized by police powers and how many through the machete bin system?
None of these were seized through the machete bins. These 15,000 were seized by our staff in the field, in the community, in homes. So add on that, I think the 6,000 that were handed into machete bins again highlights the problem that we face. But also 21,000 weapons like the ones you see in front of you, off the streets, not in the hands of offenders, is one way to address this issue.
Did you say 15% increase in stabbings in the past?
In the past 12 months, year to date.
Why are these 15,000 weapons?
That's right, so that does highlight the scale of the problem that we're dealing with.
And anecdotally, if we've had the machete bins in place, I don't know, those are separate to these stats, since September, can you say, are your frontline police saying they are seeing any impact on that, or is it too early to say we're seeing less knife crime?
Well, we're seeing more knife crime, that's the problem. So again, it highlights the scale of the problem, and that's why we have to work very much together. There is an enforcement part of this, but there also should be an early intervention, prevention side of this. Taking the weapons off the street is definitely one way to do that.
So I do understand there's been an increase in the year, but since those machete bins came in place, are your officers seeing any?
Look, we'll get back to you on the data over the last few months.
Well, how many of these were seized, say, in the searches that police do in designated areas?
Yeah, I'm not able to break that down, but that's a very powerful tool that the Victoria Police have. to enable us to make those searches in designated areas. The ones that we have and that we will be provided with will also be a great advantage to us. It's less invasive and more effective.
Where will officers carry those ones? They're already pretty kitted up already.
Yes, they are. They'll have them available to them. They might carry them on their belt or they might have them in their vehicles nearby, but they will be available to them immediately.
There's room on the belt?
Probably not as we speak, but they will find room because they really appreciate the advantage to law enforcement in having those wands.
When do you intend to sit down with the Police Association to discuss some of what you announced on the weekend with them?
Can you repeat that?
When will you sit down with the Police Association to have consultation on the things you publicly announced with the Minister on the weekend?
Yeah, look, it's really important that we go on this journey of change with the police union. We've had conversations with them around those things and we will continue that. It's really important that the Police Association and Victoria Police work together on these positive initiatives.
They said they weren't consulted. The first they knew was...
We've definitely had a conversation with the union around them, but we get the fact that they said that it was a little light on detail. But, you know, it's a good initiative, so we will proceed.
How long is it going to stay light on detail? When will we get those details?
We're working through that at the moment, but it's an important matter, so it's important that the public have all those details.
And were they your ideas or government's ideas?
We have socialised this with government.
What does that mean?
So we opened the discussion.
Your ideas or their instructions?
Oh, which part are you referring to?
Well, say the PSO's decision, taking the PSOs off train stations and moving them into shopping centres.
We've been having conversations around PSOs for, it's probably longer than months, it could be years.
Just on the topic of PSOs, the opposition are pledging to have strike teams of protective service officers at train stations and patrolling shopping centres, obviously only if they are elected. Is that a feasible plan? Do you think that's even possible?
Now, thanks for asking that question because I think we do need some clarity on these two things because they are two separate things. So if you talk about the teams that we're going to put in the shopping centres, Operation Pulse over the next 90 days, they are on voluntary duties. So we will go to our workforce, give them the opportunity to come back over time and work. We're not taking those 200 officers off the public transport system. That operation is separate to this initiative. So yeah, I have seen reporting where it looks like we're taking them off. That we are not. Voluntary duties. People giving up some of their days off so that they can volunteer to work in shopping centres.
And when will it swap over to taking them off train stations and into shopping centres, assuming the trial is a success?
I'm not sure.
Were you saying it's not happening, it won't happen over this 90-day period? They'll still be on train stations and they'll do voluntary shifts in shopping centres?
Yeah, it's a separate thing to
Was not part of the decision announced on the weekend with the Minister that you will make a more permanent move around the PSO deployment?
The PSOs around the public transport is a separate issue. Okay. That kicks off as soon as we can get all of the logistics in place to do that. And again, that it's about making them more mobile. So they will, it won't change for half of our stations, but what will change is the mobility and the flexibility to deploy across the system with those other train stations, where over the past year, there has been very, very minimal crime and need for our people to be there. But they will still be mobile across that network and they will have the ability, A, to be on those trains and travel to prevent harm inside those carriages, but also to move around in the areas adjacent to those platforms where they think they might need to be. It's all based on intelligence and demand.
Don't they already do that, move off platforms?
Not as much as they would like to do, and we see the need for them to do.
What about the perception of safety for women travelling on public transport? Taking them away, taking PSOs off platforms may damage that. Are you comfortable with that?
I'm very comfortable with the way we will deploy into areas of need. It's really important to your point around making people feel safe. That's equally as important. So we will still be visible. We just won't be cemented to certain places.
Can I ask about your trip to Paul Punker? What's the purpose?
I go there regularly. The purpose is to meet with our people, make sure they've got all they need in terms of their support, but I also want to dig into the details of the investigation and the search, so I am right across it. So it's really important that I understand, what efforts we're putting into it. But I understand there's some theories that there might be an announcement. There is not. We don't have any positive sightings, and we stay with the fact that even though we're getting information in, we've had no positive sightings, and we're still no clearer on whether he is dead or alive.
Is it still a useful deployment of resources?
Absolutely. This was one of the most horrific crimes committed against community and against Victoria Police. Our people are still hurting, and it's really, really important for public confidence, for our organisation, that we resolve this. It's also important to that community that they know we are still there with them.
Just on the machetes, is there a need to continue having the machete bins? It seems as though police officers are obtaining the machetes more so through search warrants or through searches on the streets. Is the assumption that the bins are working or are helping?
Well, 6,000 are a big number. That's 15,000 for the year. So both working. Whatever we can do to take dangerous weapons off the street and out of the hands of people who want to use them to harm and kill others is a good thing.
And I guess it's pretty concerning that there are, so far, at least 20,000 that have been captured. Is the assumption that there are potentially 20,000 more? I mean, how many more do police expect to be collecting?
We'll keep going with this. 10 years ago, I think we seized 11,000. This year we're up to 15,000. It's part of police business to take weapons off people who want to use them to harm others. That will never stop.
How much longer are the machete bins supposed to be around? Are you aware?
Yeah, I am aware, but I can't give you the exact date, but it does have a finite period. Yeah.
Was it just the 3 months or was it longer?
Can I come back to you on that? I think it was 3 months, but yeah.
This morning the ABC reported that 2 young offenders went on a tax-funded trip to the Gold Coast. We're curious to know what your views are about using alternative methods to try and break that cycle of youth offending.
I think it's really important that we do two things at the same time. One is that investigation, enforcement, deterrence side. The other is early intervention, prevention, community partnerships, wherever they may be. They're both equally important. One's more long-term, the early intervention, partnerships, prevention piece, long-term, but they're both effective.
What do you think specifically about this insinuation that they took that tax-funded trip to the Gold Coast and possibly went to theme parks? I guess there's a perception in the community that they're having a fun time. Do you think that that was appropriate?
I'm not across the detail of that, sorry.
Can I just ask, which is back to Paul Punker, what theories are police currently working on? I mean, is he likely interstate? Could he still be in the area?
I think it's really important to not make assumptions and understand what the possible outcomes are. One is he's still in the area. I think if you look at how concentrated and focused our searches have been, that's a low likelihood, but you never rule it out. And the other two main assumptions are that he is already deceased in the location, or he is being looked after elsewhere. And if he is, that's why we've posted that reward of $1 million. So if someone knows where he is, we really want to hear from those people because we need to bring this to a conclusion.
Are you still getting a significant amount of tips? Can you give us an indication of how many?
Yeah, well, we were over 1,400. I think it's increased since we spoke. That's one of the reasons I'm going to Paul Punker, to understand what the flow of information looks like. I can give you assurance that our people are not just following up on everyone, they're following up twice on every lead.
Does Victoria Police have a stance on the story in the Herald Sun this morning about an extra 3 years penalty for those carrying a knife?
Look, we've been really consistent on our position, and it goes back to your earlier question about deterrence. Certainty of consequence is a really important part. So if you're going to do something illegal, you should know what the consequence of that is.
So you support what the government's doing, what Labor's announced?
Well, that's our position. Certainty of consequence is really, really important as a deterrence, particularly to young people.
Do you have any concerns that you're seen to be too close to Labor, too close to the Minister and the Premier?
In what respect?
In terms of fronting the media publicly with them on a number of occasions, gives them cover for being tough on crime, having you stand beside them?
Well, we work with the government of the day on keeping Victoria safe.
Would you stand with the opposition if they're announcing similar things?
It's really important to work with the government of the day, regardless of who the government of the day is.
But are you
That's my answer to that
Are
question.
you concerned at all about being employed during the election year next year? Law and order will be a big issue. You are the Chief Commissioner.
Law and order is a really important issue, especially on the back of our increasing crime rates. And we're very keen to work with government to get in front of that.
You will continue to front the media with the government next year?
Well, it depends on what occasion and what the subject is. But, you know, it's really important for all agencies to work with the government of the day to make a difference.
Just one final one on Port Punker for me. Your mode of transport to get there today?
Thank you very much for that. We will be driving. Appreciate that. Someone had to ask, right?
It'll be me. Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Oh, what happens with the knives after? What happens?
They are destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very well destroyed.
Like in a crusher, like a car crusher, like a.
Yeah, we could do with a few car crushes as well.
Just a shot of you just looking over them.